And good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Agness of FieldhouseFiles.com. You see the banners still up behind me, but inside the bowl here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, you wouldn't even know that the All-Star Game was played. Everything has been torn down, replaced, and put back to normal, if you will, after Indianapolis, the city, the Pacers Sports and Entertainment, and everyone did a fabulous job this last weekend welcoming basketball fans, WNBA fans here to the Circle City. Now, the trouble is, in the WNBA right now, there is not much time off. And so the three non-All-Stars got the day off, but the rest of the group, 8 players, back at practice here today at Salesforce Court as they resume the second half of the schedule coming up Tuesday in New York. And so, first of all, that's an issue. That's something, obviously, with this new collective bargaining agreement that they have to address. Give these players more reasonable time off, because it's so great to see the number of players that made it here to Indianapolis to both be involved, have sponsorship activations and those sort of things, as we discussed with Sophie Cunningham after practice, but also to be at the game, to be there at All-Star Friday night as well. But in doing so, think about the fever and how exhausted those players have to be. What about the ones that flew, from Vegas, from Los Angeles, from Phoenix, wherever it may be? So that's something of concern, I think, right now with the league. And on top of that, though, you have Fever Liberty in a high-profile game to resume things here coming up on Tuesday. And remember, the Fever just played the last 4 games, I think, on national TV on different networks, as everyone wants a little piece of this team. Now, the big news is, obviously, we're waiting to see what will happen with Caitlin Clark upcoming, right? She suffered that right groin injury, second to last game, sat out. New York will probably sit out again on Tuesday. It's not official, but I think she'll be listed at least as doubtful, as they have another practice right here coming up on Monday. We talked with Stephanie White after practice here today. Obviously, Caitlin not here at practice. They said stay home, get some rest. But beyond that, the plan is for Caitlin to meet with some doctors here this week, and then from there, together with her agency, with the front office, and obviously with her and maybe the coaching staff, they will formulate a plan for how to handle this. The challenge is she suffered several soft tissue injuries here so early into the season. We're at the midway point, and she's dealt with 3 to 4 injuries ever since the first week of camp. I remember the 3rd day of practice, she was not involved. Well, we later found out she was dealing with a left quad strain. So come inside Indiana Fever practice, the 8 non-All-Stars participating in this one. You're trying to break a sweat, get back into the groove of things, and also refocus yourself after joyful last couple of days in terms of being out in the city, in terms of maybe making money with sponsorships. And we saw so many, from Lexi to Sophie to Sydney Colson, Natasha Howard. Now it's back to basketball. And then after practice, we talked again with head coach Stephanie White as well as Sophie Cunningham. First of all, just kind of what were your impressions of this weekend, and how many of your players were just involved in a variety of things?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I felt like our organization, our city, really did a first-class job. Everything from activations to signage to engagement. It was just all first class and just well done, well organized, and really showcased our city, showcased our organization. So I'm really incredibly proud of everybody who took part in putting it together, executing it. Our players were around and involved in a lot of different things, so it was nice that they were still in town and that they were involved, they were engaged. A lot of meaningful activations from a community standpoint, and also taking a break and having some fun.
How did you try to strike that line of the advantage of you're the home team, you guys can't practice today, but also it's an All-Star break, give that break, that rest if you need to play?
Yeah, we had 3 days at home, and so for us, we know that we've got to continue to work. We got to continue to stack days, and even though everybody was involved in a lot of different things, typically when you come back from having even a day off, let alone 3 days off, it's a little sluggish. So we wanted to work that out, as much as we could early, since we were at home, we wouldn't be traveling, and then spend tomorrow preparing for New York.
What you just said about the landslides, is that something that you've noticed in frequent games this year? So thematically, what causes them, whether that's a lack of focus, getting away from the game plan? How do you guys avoid that?
I think some of it is when we don't have practice time, and so there are a lot of different ways, and landslide may not have been the right word, but there are a lot of different ways. For some people it's visualization, for some people it's watching more film, whether it's of them, of executing. When we have the opportunity to practice, we want to be able to do that. I'm not sure what we ended up being like, I don't know, some something like, I know it was 3 and 4 to end before the break, but what it was prior to that. A lot of games in a short period of time, so we don't always have time to get reps, and natural slippage happens, but it can't be in a vast amount of the things that we do.
Obviously, none of the All-Stars practice today, but just how is Caitlin progressing from that right there? Great.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen since the game last night, but I think she's progressing. I think that we're continuing to address everything that needs to be addressed. She's going to see some doctors and get some more tests run early in the week. I don't expect her to be available on Tuesday, so we're just going to continue to take it one day at a time and let her get her evaluations early this week, and then once we've done that, hopefully we'll have more of a clear line of what it looks like.
Has maybe her story been representative of kind of the season where you have a range of emotions? There's big wins, there's big losses, there's players going down, and you're still waiting to have a full practice with everybody involved.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's been a lot of adversity is a relative term, but it's been inconsistent. Players coming in and out, lineups in and out. Yes, games struggles as well, but it's also, some of that's a factor of our schedule, some of that's a factor of not practicing together, some of that early, especially growing pains, just learning how to win in some of those tight games. So there are a lot of different factors, and for us, it's probably something we're going to continue to deal with. These soft tissue injuries sometimes nag until you can actually have time to really allow them to heal in off season. So we'll just take it one day at a time, and as they come, and we'll continue this group will continue to progress together.
Going back to everything that was happening, regrettably I missed Sid's performance last
Yeah,
night.
what?
What was the review of how she did?
Sid did a great job. I was so proud of her getting up on that stage. It was a big venue. It was a large venue, and I don't know anything about comedy, but I know that when you play in environments that are large and sometimes seem like sterile, it's much more difficult than environments that are tight and loud. So I'm really proud of Sid. She did a great job. She always has us rolling, so it's nothing new for us, but I'm happy that she was able to do that.
Did you have a highlight of the weekend?
Being able to sleep in this morning was great. But on a real note, I just think it was awesome. I think Indiana showed out for All-Star. I said multiple times that we have the best fans. The love, the encouragement they show us on a weekly basis. Now other teams and other players really got to see what we see all the time. And so it was nothing but love. But I just want to shout out our fans and our community for throwing a heck of an All-Star.
You compare the hosting experience of the last 2 years?
Man, I'm back-to-back host. Shoot. Phoenix was crazy, a little bit more of a crazy nightlife out there in Scottsdale, but I think the bars in the downtown here, they did a wonderful job. So again, shout out to the community.
You like getting back to practice so quick, an advantage that you guys don't have to travel, or was it tough for coming back one day after everything?
Are you going to get me fined?
On the next question.
No, I got you. No, you know what? On a real note, it's good to move our bodies. Everyone knows what All-Star Weekend's about. It's cool for all of us players to kind of get to hang out and chill outside the court. But we're out, we're hanging out and whatnot, and so it's nice to kind of sweat it out and get our legs moving again.
What is it like to do so many activations? It seemed like you were at everything, but what that also suggests is all the different partnerships, income streams, all those different things.
And I think that's why a lot of people stayed in market. That's why people come here, because of the amount of money that companies and endorsers and partners are wanting to pay us players. They see who we are off the court, they see who we are on the court, and I just think that speaks volumes of who we are as a W, the players wise. And so it's fun. Everyone always I like Olympic break, because you get All-Star and then you get to go chill for a little bit, but it's just part of being a pro. So
yeah, players were talking about how they thought All-Star was a little bit too short going back to games on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Do you think it should be in regular league years a little longer?
Yeah, I think that they need to find a way to give us a little bit more of a break. See AB and Caitlin, that was a long weekend. Kelsey, AB, and Caitlin, they didn't really ever get a break. They still had to go to practice, they had to do all that, and these are the top players in our league. That's what All-Stars are all about, right? So you kind of want to give them a break so you can get a good product out on the court. But for me, I think they can find 2 extra days somewhere for us to just relax and sleep.
And to that end, Kathy talked about the 44 games and the amount of time your season has. Do you feel like that is too many? Do you feel like it needs to be extended in terms of the full length of time of the season? season? How does that play into
Yeah, you can just tell Kathy to pay us, and then we can have a discussion. So, yeah.
It's kind of just going into the second half of the season. Steph talked about that little margin of error you guys have.
Yeah.
What do you think needs to step up going into the second half?
Yeah, consistency, right? Attention to detail, making sure that defensively we are just beast, a unit. We're not on islands, and I think it all starts on the defensive end and our intensity and our aggressiveness. And when we do that, we tend to win those ball games. And so for us, we can't have. You're always going to have a little bit of slippage every now and then, but you just can't have landslides. She just said that, and I really do think that the first half of the season it wasn't good enough, and that's not an excuse anymore. So we all have to come in, be dialed in, take it a little bit more personal, make sure you're bringing what you can to the team, and make sure that our locker room stays like this.